Hi there, my name is Julie Hiles. I am a health and PE teacher here at Bellarmion, and I also run our service department. So all of the community service program runs through me. So I'm happy to be here. My relationship with my sister growing up was awesome. I'm the older sister, and so I think I've always been the one that was in charge, and I liked that. We really bonded as we got a little bit older when we started playing sports together.
I'm Kim West, former member of the Butler sisters from Bellarmion, and what they so called the Twin Towers in the News Tribune. So I'm happy to, share my relationship with my sister and our years of playing. But yeah, I played soccer, basketball, and track at Bellarmion.
High school basketball was like the time of our lives. Our coaches were Mrs. Harrison, and we just had fun.
They are both incredible athletes, and it was just really easy to coach them. They are very teachable athletes, and I had a great relationship with them, with both of them. We had a lot of fun and shared a lot of funny memories, and they were easy to coach. We're student athletes that everyone respected, and we had a lot of kids come to games. The atmosphere was just fun, and they really contributed to that, just as leaders on the team. And in the school, they were tremendous leaders.
She was always the hardest worker. She was always, like I said, the leader.
They had a huge impact on Bellarmion girls basketball in general. It really was the time when they chose to play basketball, even though they could have easily been, and they were, standout soccer players and were recruited around the country to play soccer as well. We had a lot of fun.
I had a hard time choosing where I wanted to go, and Santa Clara ended up being a great fit for me and for our family. It was just 2 hours away by plane. That Jesuit connection, I felt comfortable there. It was beautiful. And she got to visit a few times. I think that probably helped. And she knew the players that I played with. The club team that we played on had a lot of the players would go to Santa Clara. I think there were 10 of us from Washington on the team that knew each other. So I think it was that family connection. And I like to think she wanted to play with her sister still.
And I went to college because she was there, and having both playing for college and alongside your sister is a dream. She has this natural ability to show her strength, yet her willingness to hear others and work with others. But her leadership has always been an inspiration to me. I was, her teammate for so long as well, in high school and in college, and so we shared our sisterhood really with our teammates, and she was the leader of that. So any great team has a specific person that they look to for guidance, for stability, and she was always that person. We were at Gonzaga, and I think the illness was really taking its toll. She was undiagnosed then, but she was very fatigued, and I'm the sleeper of the family, and she was sleeping a lot. She was just really exhausted, and it was evident in her play.
So I had been feeling sick for a while, and as an athlete, you just kind of keep it moving. I kept playing. I wasn't feeling good. I was losing weight, and they kept doing all these different tests. They thought it was my shoulder. They thought a whole bunch of different things.
To not go into so much detail about that coach, but she really thought that she was lazy, and she thought she wasn't working hard, and we knew that that wasn't the case. Anyone who knew Julie knew that that wasn't accurate. It was our team trainer who said, hey, you need to go get a biopsy. You need to go get this looked at.
Finally, I had a CT scan, and the rest of my team was flying to the WCC tournament, and I had to stay home to get my CT scan results. So I went with actually one of my really good friends, and we sat in the doctor's office. I didn't have my parents with me, I didn't have my teammates, I didn't have my sister, and they were like, yeah, well, you have cancer. And it was like, what? That was the last thing they expect to hear when you're a senior in college. And really probably the best shape of your life and kind of the best time of your life. So yeah, it was a scary time.
In that situation was really, really unbelievably hard, obviously for her, but for her sisters outside of that. I mean, my coach didn't want to tell our team. I still had to play and focus on winning the next game, where looking in the mirror like, what? My sister is sick from this awful disease and it's not being heard, and I'm not okay with that. And I always was like a rule follower, and I just said no to this coach. And I had to meet with the athletic director, and she reminded me who was paying for my education, and I said, well, not anymore. And that was a huge thing, because I mean, my sister's life was changing, our lives were changing, and I stood up and we walked out and we came home. And I didn't know where my basketball career was gonna go. I didn't really care. I never played again for that coach, and that's when she was diagnosed and was asked to start chemo as soon as possible, and I went with her. So I moved home, and I cut short my spring quarter at Santa Clara, and then we started going to chemotherapy. I'm the youngest people in the oncology ward by far.
Right before spring break, or it was like maybe a week or two before spring break. And so then she was home with me. It was chemo every 2 weeks. So I'd go to chemo, come home, feel pretty yucky for about a week, and she would hang out and minister to me, I guess. And then, by the second week, I'd feel a lot better. At the time, as an athlete and as a young person, I think you just like, okay, bring it on. What's the next step? Like, how do we deal with this? How do we fix it? I don't feel like there was a lot of like, I don't think I was sad about, I didn't get to play in the end of my senior year. I didn't get to, I'd hoped to go play professionally for a little bit, maybe in Europe, overseas, and that was kind of cut short, but I don't think it was this like horrible, terrible thing that my career was over. It was more like a chapter of your life is over, and like, now what?
I kept playing. I remember asking, like, I don't need to play anymore, do I? And she's like, absolutely. Like,
when we came back from Santa Clara, I thought that was it. I kind of had a, tainted view of basketball. We had a pretty hard coach that didn't really understand or deal with that whole situation well, and I didn't really have the motivation to see myself playing anymore. But she was getting better. She was doing okay with chemo, and I knew this newfound confidence with her getting well and telling me that, you're a player, you're a baller, you need to go do your thing. I had her number on my shoe. I always, played for her, so that really helped.
And however many years later, just like walking into the Olympic Stadium was for her.
Playing in the 2012 Olympics was by far the highlight of my athletic, career, but it was a long road, through injuries and through everything. So when we finally got there, it happened to go so fast. And but it was incredible being alongside the best athletes in the world, and having the whole family there watching me, and just representing our, Great Britain as a nation, and getting to meet the Queen.
Some of the first people that reached out to me when I got diagnosed were Bellarmion people. It was Mr. Gavin, it was Jenny Phillips, it was Carrie Harrison, it was Jim Fish. It was people who had really, helped me get where I was. And so it just kind of seemed natural. It's like after I beat cancer, it was like a new chapter. Like I said, I finished chemo in the middle of coaching JV soccer here out on the old Memorial Field. It was October 5th, I remember.
Julie came back first, of course, and coached basketball. And
as I came back, and Joe Waters was like, "Hey, you're not busy. Why don't you come back up to Bellarmion and coach?" And that's it was crazy how fast it happened, because I got diagnosed in March and April. I moved home, started chemo, finished school online, like before there was online school. And then I started coaching in August. So then I came right back here. And then it was kind of like, now what? And I was here, and it kind of turned to Mr. Minus showed up out on the soccer field and said, "Hey, I heard you know a little bit about basketball." And I was like, "Oh yeah." It's like, "Well, do you want to coach?" So then I coached basketball, and then I started subbing that year. And then I haven't left here since.
So I coached as an assistant, as she did under Kevin Minus for a long time. Hers was almost a decade, and I was with him 4 years. And then she was with me that year that we went, and took third place in state. And receiving the Coach of the Year was an honor. But I knew, because she was alongside us, and we shared that title, and that was the best year, I feel like, because coaching, just our perspectives of playing together, our sisterhood, and sharing that with, our team, our high school girls, seeing that level of love for each other, but just the game and the passion. And, we have different dynamics of the game, or different understandings of the game, and having just both the experiences that we both had, and bringing that into a high school environment was priceless. And
it's wonderful to have them both back here teaching and coaching. Their bond is one of, they really enjoy being with each other, and Kim is a very close relationship with Wyatt, Julie's son, and they're just great role models for all of us, and they just they have a lot of fun together. They support each other, and that's never changed since the day I met them.
What are you taking with you that will move on forward with your life?
I would say a different perspective, to be able to adapt and be flexible with what life throws at you. It's a great reminder that with so many opportunities, to play in college, I remember her getting letters from all over the nation of, wanting her to play at this college and this college, and, landing at Santa Clara, and then going through that experience, myself, and then landing with her. And it's such a just what a blessing it was to be able to play.
And then I haven't left here since. So it wasn't exactly my plan to come back, especially right after. But I definitely think this place is my home. I'm glad I am back here. It's been a long time now, 17 years. Since I've been here, I got to work with some of my old teachers, and they've become my friends. You don't get to hear that very often. But yeah, it was like a new chapter.